putting that in there. We've decided to put it back into facilities funds, decide how we want to proceed before we proceed again. It's tough to get contractors and engineers to come work down here in Stayton, just to let you guys know that. We put out several different contracts for different types of jobs, and we don't get very many people answering our requests for proposals. Again, we put it out twice last year and didn't receive one. We have budgeted for a professional grant writer to assist us writing the grant application for funding sources, the OPRD grant, and other types of grants that we may be looking at in the future. And $13,000 for wetland mitigation for the Mill Creek Park. We have wetlands on the Mill Creek Park. We've always known we've had wetlands down there. The $13,000 is to help us mitigate those wetlands, so we can make the whole, either make the whole entire wetland go away, or a portion of it go away, and incorporate the remainder of the wetlands into the actual park design. That's the $13,000 it's for. These are the activity measures we have in our parks. We have 203 acres of parks, 3 restrooms, playground. Then we start talking about equipment repairs. Looks like we've had a few more this last year. Dog waste bags, that type of things. I won't go through each one of those. You guys can all see that. I found it interesting that we do remove a lot of debris from the parks, and you know, a lot of people aren't aware of that, but 20 tons annually we take out of the parks from limbs and trees, and just, you wouldn't think that. It's something that most people wouldn't suspect, but 20 tons of debris came from our parks last year, or 24, excuse me. Equipment, we have a capital outlay, $10,000 for equipment, and this is just equipment, new equipment if it breaks that we can bring in, and that's what we have for capital outlay. The parks fund, operating funding, we have $253,000 general fund transfer. $10,000 of that comes from property taxes and local option levy. The effective property tax for the rate for the parks is 37 cents per thousand, I believe that is that right, Andy?
Right.
Okay. As you can see, I'm sorry there, I'm looking for the red light, but you can see Stayton furthest to the right. We're right in line with this other smaller communities in the state. This will go back to Andy.
Before we move on to Mr. Parks, does anyone have questions for Lance? Councilor Hook, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Patty. Lance, last year I asked you a very similar question, and your answer was no. This year I'm going to ask you the same question. Have you reached out to the people that have restored the covered bridges in the SIO area to ask where they get people to come in and restore for things like the Shamanic Bridge? Because I know I'd specifically asked you that last year.
And I'm going to answer you very much like I did last year. I have not. But I will say, I don't recall you giving me the names of people from SIO that put it up. If you would like to write that down for me, I would be happy to contact them.
No, just reaching out to people that would do repairs on roads that are in SIO that have, there's 5 bridges in SIO.
Right, I have not reached out. I should reach out. I didn't realize that.
That would be amazing if, instead of moving that money, reaching out to local areas that have covered bridges that would be repaired.
I know the person that we hired 2 or 3 years ago, that's what he did all through the valley. Small shop, individual guy, he had 2 helpers. He came here and he worked for, I don't know, a week, cost us 20 grand. But he no longer does that type of work, but he specialized in covered bridges. But he retired, but I have not. I will reach out to SIO. Is there any particular group that you're referring to that I could just...
No, but I know they did repairs on the Shamanic Bridge not too long ago, like in the last 10 years or so, I think it's been.
Is that a city-owned bridge? Or
no.
It's county.
County?
Mr. Penn.
I'll reach out
Councilor
to the county
Quigley.
and see if I can find people that do
They were the
this.
ones doing the work because everything.
Councilor Quigley, go ahead with your question.
Lance, the most recent bridge in Lynn County that was refurbished was Lacombe, so they did that last summer.
Okay, I'll look
So,
at that.
you reach out to Lynn County and see what they have to say.
Thank you, Lance. Mr. Mayor, go ahead with your question.
Let me add something to this. We've discovered in probably the last, let's see, the bridge is 21 years old. A bunch of us built it in the summer of '98. And we discovered, at least within the last 5 or 10 years, the thing's built in the wrong place. It gets weather, all that weather from the southwest blows right in on it. And I'm asking, I guess, Lance, is that thing at some point, it's only 21 years old, and it already needs almost major renovation now, doesn't it?
We opened up I want to say the west side last year, and most of the cross members require work. Several years ago, we had all the cross members replaced. I think all your longitudinal beams probably are getting close to being replaced, which is a major upgrade. But until we use some of this $100,000 and open it up a little bit more to look at, I can't tell you. Rod is a huge issue.
Yeah.
It's a wooden bridge. You get rain to it. There's no way to keep the rain from migrating down into the structure itself, because there's no real flashing or anything on a bridge like that. So,
Any other committee members have questions?
I do.
Okay, Councilor Orr, go ahead.
Lance, for the capital outlay, you have $10,000 proposed for 19-20 budget year, but in previous years it was significantly more. Do you just anticipate that you're not going to need as much?
well, to be honest, this is a general fund, or we get the money transferred. We've spent a lot of money on parks since I've been here. $750,000 went to Pioneer Park for the restroom, and then we just transferred a bunch of money from the SDCs to get the Mill Creek Park. We're just kind of taking a break. All right, that's the simplest way to say it. Trying to take a break and reassess where we're at. But there's nothing of real pressing need right now, so that's why it shows that.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're gonna go home?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
It's 8 o'clock.
All right.
I'm ready to go home.
Okay, any other? Let's move along then. Mr. Mayor's ready to go home.
That's what leadership's about.
2 hours?
What's that?
Usually it is. Yeah, it's up to the consensus of the chair. But.
All right. Does anybody want to go ahead and continue, or want to go ahead and adjourn at this point and move on tomorrow? Go ahead.
Chair Patty, I
Councilor
would
Hook.
love to adjourn until tomorrow if everyone is done with their initial presentations.
Do you have any other members of your management team who would like to present, Keith?
Well, I guess I'll say right now we're at slide 68 and we have, I think, 117 slides. So we're still a ways to go before we've completed the presentation component of this. So, that's just kind of where we're at this point.
Let's go ahead and adjourn for today then. Okay. So the next meeting will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then Wednesday, another meeting at 6 p.m., which says if needed. I'm going to go ahead and venture a guess that it's going to be needed. We'll go ahead and adjourn, 8:05.
Leadership's about